can take that 4-prize turn at the end of the game to close things out. So yeah, I would say Kyogre is definitely the big surprise here. We talked about the Lost Zone Tina version of the deck. We've talked about the Turbo Lost Box build. Kyogre is kind of become an afterthought almost, it feels like, for this tournament.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, players are going to be considering that. They play Manaphy, so they want to have an answer to a giant double knockout, quadruple prize card knockout, whatever it ends up being. So you're going to see that Manaphy in there, but this is a deck that isn't able to recycle the Manaphy as well as some of the Lost Zone decks that we've seen. So if Bastian is able to get that Manaphy out, you can see it knocked out early on with a Sableye, get some of that chip damage onto Pokemon like Chien-Pao EX, and then you may only need 4 energies, and whoa!
Yeah, what if your Manaphy's in the prize cards,
That's
though,
really
Kyle?
hard to recycle then.
Yeah, that is
the
not
top prize
ideal.
card too.
And there's an Arceus V in the prizes as well, which is only a 1/1 line. We see most of the Chien-Pao players are opting for this Arceus to support their strategy, using that Starbirth V-Star power to get out any 2 pieces. It can get you Rare Candy and Baxcalibur. For the players who are opting to choose to play things like Canceling Cologne and Cross Switchers, it can get you that combo piece as well. Bastion not playing the Cross Switchers in this list, does have that Canceling Cologne. That's another key card we'll have to keep our eye on. Radiant Greninja, such a strong attacker in this matchup.
Absolutely. If you're able to get that Pokemon attacking as early as the 2nd turn, maybe you clear off some Comfeys and avoid cards getting into the Lost Zone. Maybe you're able to set up some damage onto these V Pokemon, make your life a little easier. Whatever it ends up being, that Pokemon can help you take some additional prize cards and maybe start to even out that prize race.
Really looking forward to this one. Can't wait to see what's going to happen. I am excited to see some Kyogre action, and hopefully, Kyle, you get to see an Aqua Storm happen at the World Championships as well. After a full year of watching Kyogre kind of evolve and change throughout the season, we had a pre-rotation with Scoop Up Nets, the Zero Aura, you know, all these things were super strong, and then the way the deck looked at the end of this season was so different before Paldea Evolved came out. We just have not seen much from this archetype ever since Iono was released in Paldea Evolved. Iono is such a tough card for this Lost Box deck to deal with.
Yeah, it's certainly been an issue. We've seen players try to mess around with the deck list, play cards like Palpad, and use the Pokestops to really start to burn the deck so that you have no choice but to draw all the right cards off of that Iono. But it's not going to be everyone's favorites. So we'll see if that's a card ever in the mix here from Bastian.
Our game is underway. It looks like Bastian is going first. An unfortunate start on Hermanni's side. Sableye is not ideal. You'd love for that to be a different purple Pokemon. They might look similar, but Comfey and Sableye are not exactly the same. Bastian having an excellent start, though, with that Frigibax. Definitely something you want to get down early. And Battle VIP Pass in the opening hand to get out Radiant Greninja and a Chien-Pao EX.
Yep. Run Hot Chien-Pao is the best deck in the format. I will continue to say that until the end of time. And right now, this looks like a pretty solid start. You see the energy to retreat, immediately get that Chien-Pao into the active spot, so you can use Shivery Chill, and you start to draw some cards eventually, right, Chip?
That is the plan, using that Radiant Greninja's concealed cards. Ditch one of these water energies, and what this is doing for Bastian is a few things. You know, by retreating the energy off the Frigibax, you're now putting an energy card in the discard pile to use superior energy retrieval later on in the game, or even on the next turn if you need it. Just getting access to these energy cards is what you really want to do, and you have access to them in your deck through Chien-Pao, you have access to them in your discard pile through superior energy retrieval. So many different options, as we do see. We're spinning the wheel with the Pokestop, and that is 3 non-item cards hitting the discard pile.
I didn't even get to say I don't like this before it ended up being bad, because you don't want to give your opponent, who may have a dead hand starting a Sableye, 3 opportunities to find good item cards.
Yeah, I wonder if Bastian's maybe worried about this being like a turbo Lost Box build and was worried that a turn 1 Greninja would just take out Frigibax and totally cut him off of being able to do anything this game. So that might be what the mentality was, but you got to make your opponent see it. And 7 in the Lost Zone is pretty tough to do, even if you are a turbo Lost Box deck. It's not a guarantee, that is for sure.
Yeah, no, I certainly understand the risk there. If you're able to find the Battle VIP Pass, it doesn't really matter what you lost there. You'll be able to find, who knows, potentially the Manaphy, but we know it's in the prize cards. So.
Or another well, yeah, I guess Frigibax doesn't really help you if Radiant Greninja's taking out 2 Pokemon.
You lose 2 of them, you're in trouble.
Hermanni's now kicking things off with a Battle VIP Pass of their own, searching the deck. Going to take a moment to check the prize cards. Very important for all Lost Box decks, but especially for this Kyogre build, checking which energy cards are available, which ones are prized, how many do you have access to.
Yep, every single energy matters here. Now, of course, this matchup is one where probably a 4 energy Kyogre would be enough to get the job done, so you can be a little more flexible with losing those cards to the Lost Zone, but still want to make sure you have enough avoiding the prize cards.
We do see Dragonite is grabbed immediately. Hermanni must be sitting on a pretty solid hand. I think, is there a Forest Seal Stone there?
That's where my head usually goes when you see a V Pokemon come down to this early. And this is going to be a pretty strong turn there. Nest Ball as well for the Radiant Greninja. Can start to accelerate, draw a few more cards. There's always that Pokestop too. So this turn is nowhere close to done.
Yeah, I think Hermanni is probably fist pumping that Pokestop came into play. That is going to be an excellent piece to just dig a little bit deeper, and it could still be a turn 1 attack. Now the question would have to be, what do you go for here? Is it that Radiant Greninja, or are you ever tempted by that turn 1 Dragon Gale of Dragonite to just take 2 prizes on Chien-Pao?
Sometimes you just go for it. Prize cards are good, but
Pokestop is treating both of these players dirty here.
Not good. No. Yep, we see there losing the Colress Experiment. Forest Seal Stone's going to come down now. Chip, what would you grab?
Can I get the Colress back from the discard pile?
Right? Can I Pal Pad it and play it in the same turn?
It looks like we'll be grabbing one from the deck, though, which will work out just fine. So Hermanni's got a solid setup. I think a Nest Ball already in the hand. Going to grab Colress, though. I think the one thing that is missing currently is switching cards, and that is kind of what you need to keep a chain of events going here, to keep finding more pieces. I think even getting off a Cramorant hit here would be fine in this spot. Just get some damage in play. That's really what you want to do with this build of Lost Box. Just put some damage in play. It makes it easier for Kyogre later, and it also can make it easier for Sableye to clean things up.
Yep, we can certainly see that with the Cramorant at some point in time. Looks like Hisuian Heavy Ball is going to be added to the mix here to potentially help out, and we should see some cards in the Lost Zone pretty soon, so the hand will be building up here. And there's a few cards I'm looking for, certainly some switching effects. You'd love to see that Comfey in the active spot.
Yeah.
Maybe get a few more in the Lost Zone to get to 4.
Hermanni taking a moment to just take some notes, write down what is prized, make sure you know what is available. 1 Lightning Energy in the prize is always something you want to keep track of, just how many of those energy cards are down. But really nothing too bad on Hermanni's side. That 1 Mirage Gate is a little annoying, but hey, he's just moved it to the bottom of the prizes after Heavy Ball.
There you go. You'll be able to find that at the right time. That's a lot of basic energies, along with the Raikou, I think, and an Escape Rope?
Yeah, 1 switching card, of course.
Well, probably going to need that.
Losing Raikou and a Psychic Energy. You can afford to lose a few energy, of course. It's just part of the game. It's going to happen. It just becomes a problem when you lose too many.
Yep, losing that Raikou is probably just a nod to the fact that you did not see a Palkia. If you saw that, then of course it's going to be a good Pokemon to work into the mix. Instead, going to be just fine there with the Dragonite V trying to knock out pretty reasonable hit points on the other side.
Turn is definitely not over at this point, as Concealed Cards was able to draw into another Comfey and also a Colress's Experiment for the next turn. Escape Rope now will force this Chien-Pao EX from the active spot, and Bastian has a bit of a decision here. What do you send up? Frigibax seems like a tough call, so it will be that Radiant Greninja. Don't want to just give that Frigibax up as a free prize to that Cramorant.
Yeah, sometimes there's a mind game to it because this is the 3rd card in the Lost Zone, so maybe your opponent has 2 ropes, and then you could work that in or something. But yeah, I'm not playing any games. You can have any Pokemon not named Frigibax at this point.
Hermanni, I think, only needing a switching card. Doesn't look like he was able to find it. There is a Nest Ball in hand, which could have grabbed the Cramorant. So unable to pull that attack off. I don't even know if it's necessarily as worth it in this spot. Dealing 110 to a Greninja doesn't get you super far, but this Nest Ball can get down the Manaphy. Manaphy being an important piece for both of these players, as they are both able to attack with their own Radiant Greninjas.
Yep, of course, bench locked here. Doesn't look very good there. You only have those 4 cards in the Lost Zone, I believe, for now. So it's not the strongest opening turn, but you've done what you needed to do. You're not going to be surprised there from the Radiant Greninja because of the Manaphy. Maybe you can work this Dragonite V in next turn if you're able to have another Colress Experiment and a strong turn. And you don't see Manaphy on the other side, so Radiant Greninja is still a threat.
Bastian now kicking off the turn, just retreating Greninja straight to the bench, using that Chien-Pao's Shivery Chill ability, searching out 2 more water energies. It's getting a little difficult to see what's happening here in Bastian's deck. Everything is just blinding me, honestly, at this point.
It's the World Championships, baby.
Yeah, showing out.
Drip or drown. I think I've seen that once or twice on Twitter.
Fitting for the water deck. Radiant Greninja now concealed cards will ditch one of those energies. I think that is now 4 into the discard pile, so Superior Energy Retrieval can just get all of those pieces back. 2 cards now being drawn from the top. Looks like a Super Rod and a Pokemon. Needs a Rare Candy and a Baxcalibur, and looks like that was able to be found.
Yep, that's going to open up a lot of different avenues. Being able to accelerate these energies. We just see the 1 right now, but the Superior Energy brought to the top now. 5 energy is going to be around.
Hasn't even played a supporter as well. Irida sitting in the hand. Looks like Bastian will take the opportunity to play it. At some point, it's kind of tough in this matchup about when you want to put another Frigibax down. You might have to establish another Baxcalibur. You probably will at some point because Hermanni will have the option to, Sableye over the course of a couple of turns. But you don't want to put too many low HP Pokemon in play. It's really a tough game to navigate in these spots.
Yeah, I mean, well, you can imagine a world where Hermanni just uses a Comfey, gets an additional card in there, then uses the Lost Vacuum, gets the 7, has Boss's Orders.
Yep.
That is a card we see 1 copy of in this list, and if you're able to remove the only Baxcalibur from play without a Frigibax, you're in trouble. So, love seeing the second one played down here, even though it feels a little weak with the hit points.
And a huge draw off the Irida as well, was searching out that Hisuian Heavy Ball, but is actually choosing to leave the Manaphy in the prize cards. Not as valuable whenever you're worried about something. You don't need to worry as much about Radiant Greninja at this point since you've got Baxcalibur in play, but that is definitely a nod to the fact that Bastian does not know at this point Hermanni is playing Kyogre.
Yeah, right now you've got other things to worry about, and you see that, well, I'd lose a Frigibax, but at least I'd still be playing Pokemon next turn. So let's get the Arceus instead, and maybe I'll have a little more playability in the next coming turns.
I think if you know that your opponent is playing Kyogre, you need to get the Manaphy out in that spot. But Bastian is sitting on that Arceus V-Star in the hand currently. So a great opportunity to get this Arceus V out. You've got the V-Star ready to line up just about anything you could want to pull off next turn.
Well, it is important to note that when you play the Manaphy is also important because you could, of course, play into the Radiant Greninja, let that happen one time, but then if you have it on the right turn, right at the very end against the Kyogre, you know you're going to have a hard time recycling that Pokemon, if ever, so play it at that perfect turn.
Bastian having to think about what this other discard should be from the Superior. Lost Vacuum doesn't seem super strong. Ditching another energy seems fine. It's definitely the resource you have the most access to in your deck, so losing another one, not too bad at all. 4 energies now to the hand. Comfey's a kind of annoying Pokemon to KO with Chien-Pao EX. It's a 2-prizer, and you're only taking 1 prize when you KO that Comfey, and you have to discard 2 energy with Hailblade to pick this knockout up.
We're going to see plenty of energies thrown around there. And yeah, I'm just going to commit that to the knockout there. Get that 1 prize card and removing the energies from the active Pokemon and likely considerations of that Dragonite V coming up soon.
Draw for turn now here for Hermanni. What does he want to do this turn? Is it a good time to try to get a knockout with Dragonite, or do you want to go after that Frigibax on the bench before it has an opportunity to evolve into the kind of annoying high HP that Baxcalibur has?
Yeah, I've got a map in my head of how I'd like to play this out. If you can work in the Radiant Greninja, knock out that Frigibax, deal damage to the Baxcalibur, next turn bring up that Sableye, remove the Baxcalibur from play, and deal some chip damage to the Chien-Pao and the Arceus. Then you have your map for the Kyogre to win the match, or the game at least.
Yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves here. It is a best
of 3.
It would
be so demoralizing that he concedes the match.
Flower selecting a classic tough Kyogre choice, Mirage Gate and Energy Recycler. And that Recycler going down, that might make Bastian think for a moment. Oh, Recycler's down. Is my opponent playing the Kyogre?
Yep, that is the one card you see in this list as opposed to a typical Lost Box deck. Maybe that Echoing Horn every once in a while would surprise a player too, but yeah, that one definitely says Kyogre could happen, and you still have a Manaphy prized.
Kyogre is definitely the strongest when your opponent is not expecting it, right? And that's probably played to Hermanni's benefit throughout this tournament. I mean, Kyogre is not that popular in Lost Box right now, so players are likely not playing around it as effectively, and I'm sure he's been able to capitalize in at least one of his 4 wins thus far in the event.
going to see a little bit of acceleration there. Mirage Gate is going to be active with 7 cards in the Lost Zone finally for Hermanni. That means we're going to see that energy played onto the Radiant Greninja along with the Comfey, likely for the pivot. And we'll see if we can see another Mirage Gate to maybe get some relevant attacks rolling.
Yeah, needs another Mirage Gate. Also got to keep track of how many energy cards are down in the discard pile at this point. Flower selecting, though. Yeah, Bastian making sure I can, yeah, always has a right to get a shuffle or a cut in of the opponent's deck after they've shuffled their deck. And now Hermanni will use this flower selecting, seeing another Comfey and another energy card. Got to make sure you keep enough energy cards around.
Yep, still have not seen the concealed cards, I believe, so that is an additional way to dig a little bit deeper if the options are missed. We still have that Pokestop too, so 5 potential resources that could lead to the Mirage Gate.
And I think Hermanni's got everything in hand needed. I see a switch card. A Mirage Gate was just drawn, but I think there already is one. And even if the energy cards are not in the deck anymore, there's a Super Rod waiting in this hand, as well as Recycler. I think you want to save the Recycler to the end of the game, put those full 5 energy cards back so you can Aqua Storm to full effect. Being really smart with the sequencing, though, playing this Escape Rope first, forcing Bastian to send something up.
Yeah, and what a great Pokemon to force your opponent to bring active there in that Radiant Greninja. It's not going to be dealing a relevant damage there with the Manaphy down, unless, of course, we saw something like that Canceling Cologne, which could be a cool surprise. But right now, you've got this opportunity to start dealing damage at the bench. Remove that Frigivax if you'd like to. Start to attack onto that Excalibur and really put your opponent on a clock on how many times they're going to be able to put energies in play.
Super Rod being played can put up to 3 Pokemon or energy, basic energy, back into the deck. It looks like a couple of Psychics and a Lightning being placed back in. And now with this Mirage Gate in hand, just needs 1 Water and then 1 other energy card to be played out. And we will be seeing that Moonlight Shuriken. And we'll see if Hermanni goes for the play that you lined up, targeting down these different Pokemon, setting it up for future plays with Sableye, and eventually leading to a Kyogre.
Yep, it is nice to see shuffling in all those different energy types that weren't the water energies. Those aren't the relevant ones that you're going to be looking for after this turn. You're not expecting to get double Radiant Greninja in a situation like this. So really focused on the Psychic energies to eventually lean into that Sableye play.
Moonlight Shuriken discarding 2 energy cards. It will be Frigivax and Excalibur, exactly as you lined it up. Hermanni having a debate about it. It looks like that will be the call, making it a Sableye target in future turns. Bastian now drawing for turn. What's the dream scenario here, you think, for Bastian? How does Bastian get back ahead in this game?
Yeah, certainly if you can line up that Canceling Cologne this turn, then you have an opportunity against that Manaphy. You're asking for a lot of cards, but you got a cool Pokemon right there that uses Starbirth.
Yeah, that amazing gold Arceus V-Star. Something else you need to be mindful of here as well is, like, how do you navigate putting down another Frigivax? You know, could you get...
I don't think you do.
Moonlight Shuriken again if you do it, or do you have to just play off of, I'm going to be attacking with Arceus to close this game out?
Yeah, it's tricky. You might just prioritize Bidoof in this spot or something like that.
Sure.
If you can get enough energies in play, know that you can always lean on the energies sticking around on that Arceus V-Star, and then maybe have some energies hanging around with that Radiant Greninja. Then maybe like a mid-game Frigi, but it's tough when you see that Sableye. As soon as that Pokemon has the Psychic energy, you're donezo.
Bastian retreating this Radiant Greninja, sending up this Arceus V-Star, 1 energy on it. It's able to attack with its Trinity Nova, unable to accelerate energy to the Chimpao EX, as it does specify you need to attach energies to a Pokemon V in play. And Bastian just doesn't have the most going on here. We can see a concealed cards to get a couple more pieces here into the hand. We, of course, could see that Starbirth to line up any of those key plays. Pokestop's going to be spun first, though. Not too bad. I don't think losing a Chimpao at this point is too detrimental.
Right. I think we're going to be just fine with the 1 Chimpao there already on the bench. Not too much to look forward to with the rest of those cards, however. I mean, they were items, so you got those out of your deck, I guess.
Concealed cards, ditching a water, drawing 2 more. There's a Superior and another water energy added to the hand. I think there is a Nest Ball, so we could see that Bidoof come down. could be an okay option. Of course, its carefree countenance ability means that it cannot be targeted down by something like the Radiant Greninja. It would still be, however, susceptible to a Sableye potentially.
Yeah, and then you start to worry about hit points and how the math works out. Would be 10 short, I believe, of the double knockout there with the Bidoof and the Baxcalibur, so could be safe there in that instance. But this is maybe one of those turns where you can work in one more non-EX or V Pokemon. We'll see if it's where the priority is going to lead to. Is it going to be that Friggy, or do we see Bidoof?
Interesting as well is Bastian is playing a split of the Frigibax, plays 2 60 HP Frigibax and 1 70 HP one. We did see the 70 HP already hit the discard pile. And the reason, I mean, there's a reason that you would play a split of these Pokemon, right? The 60 HP one is a little stronger in the early game, is if you start it, you can attach an energy to retreat it into Chien-Pao. It's only got 1 retreat. But the 70 HP one, with 2 retreat, it's a little harder to move, but it can withstand Sableye a little bit easier.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's one that you got to look out for. I like seeing the split as you give yourself the potential to be able to retreat early on and get that Shivery Troll rolling. It looks like it is going to be the Friggy. I'm worried about rare candies at this point, though, Chip.
Yeah.
I think we saw 2.
Yeah, one's been played, and I believe one was discarded to a superior.
Yeah, so finding the resources at a stage like this could be tricky now. But you still have that V-Star ability. This Pokemon should be sticking around for at least a turn, because I don't think we're going to see any Choice Belt shenanigans on the other side.
Sebastian could have pulled off some combo play with the Arceus this turn, had Starbirth to go get something like maybe a Boss and a Canceling Cologne, and we could have seen Radiant Greninja potentially take out the Manaphy. But I think Bastian's recognized, hey, Arceus V-Star has got a lot of HP. I don't think my opponent can deal with this Pokemon this turn, so why don't I attack with it now and then react to what they do on the next turn. I think that's really smart. Absolutely.
Yeah, when you see that you get to keep these energies in play, have an attack easily lined up for at least one more prize card, you start to see the map unfold there, and you can get your additional attacks lined up there with that Radiant Greninja, and then, of course, Chien-Pao with that final knockout would be lined up, ready to go.
Now Hermanni searching the deck with Mirage Gate, putting a couple energy cards into play. We do still need to see a couple more cards in the Lost Zone in order for Sableye to activate its Lost Mine, but with just 2 cards to put in the Lost Zone, I think that should be a pretty easy feat to put together. Flower selecting in the active, I think there's a few switching cards available as well.
We'll see if the cards come together to get to the magic 10 in the Lost Zone there. And we will see if the strategy is there for Hermanni, if they believe that this is going to be a match where you can get that Kyogre out on the very next turn. If you do, then you can use that Sableye, take the knockout on the Baxcalibur, and then line up some damage on the Arceus V-Star, try to take the 4 prize knockout next turn.
That is the 10th card now in the Lost Zone. Keeping a Colress as well, going to be pretty strong. You do have to worry a little bit about Iono coming into play, so you might want to try to set up your board a little bit, maybe get an energy card to keep in play on a Comfey so you have a pivot available. I like maybe playing something like this Echoing Horn now, get value from it while you can so it doesn't get put back into your deck.
Yeah, this is perfect. This means that you can place the additional damage counters onto the Chien-Pao and the other Chien-Pao. Yeah. And now you get to work in the 4 energy Kyogre instead. But I'd still like to see a few more attachments there. The 4 Sealstone, there we go. It's going to go on the MVP there, Sableye. And this is perfect understanding of how to play this match right now. The Iono is going to be coming if your opponent's going to win this game.
Something that can be a potential problem here, though, for Hermanni is, based on where this damage goes, you can only set up 2 of these multi-prize Pokemon, right, to be a 4 energy Kyogre. You couldn't have set up multiple. So if Bastian just puts up one of those Chien-Pao, and then even if Hermanni plays Escape Rope, one of those goes back to the active. Kyogre can only target the bench.
Yes, it would have
So I think it makes sense to put the 3 on the Arceus, so now 5 is guaranteed no matter what to take 4 prizes this coming turn.
Yes, that would be, if you have the boss and you know you can make that happen, great. then you can make the 4 energy happen, but it's probably a little easier to make the 5 energy happen here. Just guarantee at least this Arceus V-Star would be knocked out.
We are seeing Pokestop does hit that Canceling Cologne. Is now the time to maybe go for this play. Iono seems like a pretty good strategy. I mean, I think Bastian is probably keyed in a little bit more to the fact that Kyogre is incoming more than likely.
Yep.
So you have to think through, what do I need to do to keep my opponent from pulling that off?
Well, I'm a little concerned about how many energy are going to be available for Bastion at this stage. I'm not sure if Rare Candy and Baxcalibur are both within reach. Of course, you have the Starbirth to do that, but do you also have the superior energy retrieval to get the job done there? Do you have to go for the Irida and another card, so you get all 3 cards this turn? Well, looky there. It's already in hand, it looks like, so that's pretty good.
Thinking through the plays, we are going to see the manual retreat of the Arceus, sending up Chien Pao. 2 energies now down to that discard pile. Sitting on a few options, has Iono, also has Irida. We will see Shivery Chill to kick things off. 2 water energies from the deck, now added to the hand.
Chip, everything's too shiny. I don't see Rare Candy. It might be there.
Yeah, there's not one in the prizes.
Okay,
so
good.
I'm pretty sure only 2 have been played, so there should be 1 hanging around somewhere. Luckily, though, I mean, Sableye does only have 80 HP, so you don't necessarily have to get Baxcalibur this turn. I think you would like to, but you don't have to.
Right. Well,
Ultra Ball.
Still the escape rope there, so this could have been a strategy where you're trying to just get more cards in the discard pile.
Boss's orders now bringing up the Dragonite with just even 1 energy attached from hand. There is enough energy in play to get the knockout. 240 damage being dealt by the Hailblade. You don't need Baxcalibur this turn to do that.
Yeah, this would be a nice knockout. The problem is, what do you do afterwards?
Right.
You have 1 Frigibax. If you don't have this Rare Candy to Baxcalibur this turn, then it looks like you probably will not have energies for the rest of the game.
Of course, Starbirth is still available. Can't forget that. So that could guarantee you setting up the Baxcalibur this turn. 4 energies now being added from the discard pile to the hand, thanks to that beautiful golden superior energy retrieval. I love the fact that Bastion even has the League promo versions of Battle VIP Pass.
Yeah, we're not playing around.
All out for the World Championships.
Yep. This looks like it's going to be a checkmate kind of turn if you're able to set it up perfectly. We'll see if Bastion goes all out in this circumstance to get the Baxcalibur, play down nearly every energy in hand here, and of course take the knockout, but leave enough so that you can use this Radiant Greninja with a Canceling Cologne to close out.
Yeah, I think for Hermanni, he's going to be feeling the pressure, right? It feels like he needs to pull off Kyogre this coming turn, otherwise Bastion can do the Canceling Cologne play to close things out.
Ooh, this is pretty sweet. With the Ultra Ball there, means you'll be able to search out the Baxcalibur, and then Starbirth could be the Rare Candy plus Iono.
Sure. Well, play boss this turn.
Just kidding.
And also is discarding an Iono.
You know, a lot's happened this turn, Chip.
So I think what Bastion may do, I mean, you know your opponent doesn't play any disruption. More than likely, you know, you wouldn't expect to see a Roxanne or an Iono from a Kyogre build of Lost Box. So what you might want to do is just set yourself up to be able to boss's orders plus Canceling Cologne next turn. Try to make sure you have everything you need to close out the game next turn if your opponent misses. And that's kind of what Bastion has to hope for. Take this knockout, take these 2 prizes, go down to just 2 remaining, and hope that Hermanni does not have the pieces in order to pull off the Kyogre play.
Yep, so we see that there with the Rare Candy found along with the Lumineon, which would be able to search out that boss, and with no disruption, that would lead to the Canceling Cologne. Radiant Ninja double knockout there. So that means pressure is on Hermanni to get the full Kyogre this turn.
Yeah, it's got to be this turn, otherwise Bastion should likely have the pieces necessary. And I like that Bastion's actually adding the Lumineon V to the hand as opposed to the boss's orders, making sure that you can have the flexibility to do whatever. It probably doesn't matter. You're probably getting boss regardless, but you never know. It's definitely just good practice to get the Lumineon. Now we see Rare Candy, Baxcalibur, Super Cold online once again. Can set up multiple Pokemon. Can also try to figure out where you want to discard the energy cards from as well. Keeping an energy around maybe 2 concealed cards. Also could just put it in play. I think that's kind of what Bastion's debating here. Do I want to make sure I can conceal next turn?
Yeah, seeing the energies not reaching onto the Radiant Greninja probably means that 1 damage counter is a little bit scary. Maybe your opponent just ignores that and uses the Sableye to knock that out, but it doesn't work with
you
the
do
prize
take away
map
their
too
like
well.
when their onboard win condition theoretically. Sebastian now, Hail Blade takes the knockout. 2 prizes, card drawn for Hermanni. Let's see, can he pull it off? Getting to 0 cards in the deck this turn and getting enough energies back to pull off the Kyogre, the Aqua Storm. There's only like 6 cards in that deck, Kyle.
Yep.
And a Colress Experiment is waiting in the hand.
And a Pokestop.
I think Hermanni just has to make sure that he sequences everything correctly at this point. Don't want to have any missteps.
Oh, finding the switch card is going to be a great card to work into the mix now, along with the Colress to take the remaining cards here.
You got to make sure that there's enough energy cards in the discard pile. You might have to do something weird like switch cart into the Sableye and then manually retreat the energy off of it. What's pretty nice about Colress, when you only have 3 cards on deck, you just get to put the 3 cards in your hand. You don't have to lost zone anything.
We've seen a lot of draw 3 throughout TCG that wasn't good, but this one's going to work. Now the question is, do you have enough energies to recycle?
Now, Hermanni doesn't have a basic water in the hand. And I'm not sure, was there only 1 Mirage Gate in the hand? If there's no basic water energy to attach to the Kyogre, I think he might be just short of actually pulling this off. He needed a water energy in hand. He might have needed to play the Super Rod before playing Colress to try to draw a water energy.
Yeah, and you can see just the head shake trying
I don't know
to
how many
out
recovery cards he has, though. That might be the problem here. He might need to play Super Rod and the Recycler to get the full amount of energies back.
Right, and then you're in a situation where you were looking to draw every energy except for that psychic energy that you found.
Right.
And it doesn't feel good to leave cards in the deck while you're going for the combo, but I think that might have been the way, Chip.
It's going to be the Recycler. Hermanni could theoretically still win if he goes 2 prizes, but the only way to really do that is with Dragonite twice, and then you're putting Dragonite in play, which can be pretty easily KO'd for Bastian to win the game.
Yeah, we could see if there are enough energies in this circumstance, you just don't draw anymore. You use this as your deck. You retreat to the Sableye, and then you could knock out the Radiant Greninja, and then you just try to have 1 additional turn. But we'll see if the energies are there. As we see one of the Mirage Gates played, not sure if there was another.
Yeah, I don't think there's another, and there's no water energy in the hand. So that is the piece that is missing here. Retreat into the Sableye. Bastian probably breathing a sigh of relief at this time.
You could soften up both Chimpao and then try to go for the early one, but no, going to just deny the prize there. Hopefully finding something in the prize cards for Hermanni to get additional energies back.
Yeah, I think there's a Super Rod still in the prizes potentially, so that could be the thing that he's hoping to draw here. Now, Bastian, drawing for turn, does have a way to win this game if he has Boss's Orders, plus Super Rod, plus a way to get back the Greninja and the Canceling Cologne.
No big deal.
A heck of a combo to pull off, but I actually think he's kind of close. And also, you have Pokestop in play. I think there's a Nest Ball in the deck still. So you could Pokestop into a Nest Ball, and you have Super Rod in hand. Super Rod puts back that Greninja.
Yeah.
I think he's pretty close.
Looked like there were a few ways to get that worked out there. Maybe Luminion even searching out a supporter and getting that out of the way so that you have an easier way to getting towards that Nest Ball.
Yeah, Bastian probably wants to pull the boss out now, so it's just you won't mill it, right?
Yeah.
You would hate to see that happen. Pokestop, discard your win condition right away. Just having a think about the sequencing here. You also don't want to Super Rod the Greninja back and then Pokestop, so you have to be very mindful of the order that these cards are played.
We'll get one more look through. See how many cards are hanging out there. Boss's Orders will be found. Looked like 7 cards. At least 2 of them were Nest Ball, maybe 3.
I think that Bastian needs to hit the search card here. And Hermanni, I think, recognizing Bastian's got the pieces to close this out. I could make my opponent show it to me, but I just don't think I can win this game. I'm going to concede. Let's go to game number 2.
Yep, 18 minutes left. That was a very long game right there.
Yes.
Tying would be awful, but you're at a situation where maybe you could be one of those 503 players. So you have to play to your outs. You have to try to win one of these games. In game 2, you'll have, what, 17, 16 minutes, whatever ends up being,
sure,
to try to win with Lost Fox Kyogre that quickly.
Yeah, we've talked about how it feels bad to take a tie at the World Championships in day number 1. You need to get to 18 match points to get it into day 2, which means you want to give yourself as best an opportunity to just get to 6 wins. So you really don't want to take a tie. But honestly, when you've started 4-0, a tie is not the worst thing in the world. If you get a tie in this round and then win your next round, there's a world where you could just intentionally draw 2 times in a row. ID twice. It could be a little risky. You do risk an up pair or a down pair, or I guess not an up pair, but you do risk a down pair potentially. It could happen to someone. You hit someone that has to play. You might want to give yourself every opportunity that you can to just get into day 2 on your own merit and not worry about any ties.
It would be nice to shake your hands into day number 2, but we'll see if that is in the cards for Hermanni. As we had a pretty great game here in game number 1.
Really smart setting up this damage here on the Baxcalibur.
Yep, good strategy there, trying to remove all the ways to get these energies in play, and then pretty brilliant from Bastian, working in that Arceus V-Star, taking a big knockout on the Dragonite as well. The prize cards were all lined up, and eventually seeing that boss was enough to close out game number 1.
Yeah, Hermanni saw the cards moving around, saw that Greninja get set to the side. That has to be setting off flares. My opponent has a super odd. They're getting this thing back. I'm going to save as much time as possible. Let's get into the next one. Kind of important prizes for both of these players, honestly. Greninja, Recycler, Mirage Gate, and Dragonite on Hermanni's side, and Bastian prizing a Baxcalibur and that canceling Cologne as well.
Yeah, we will see how that ends up. Messing with game number 2 now, as Hermanni has exactly what they're looking for with that Battle VIP pass to start things off, and the correct purple Pokemon in the active.
The Comfey, exactly what you want to be starting this game with, and the exact card you want to open up with. Battle VIP pass, allowing Hermanni to search the deck for 2 basic Pokemon, putting them directly onto the bench. Flower selecting can now, after that, add a card to the Lost Zone, add a card to the hand, start to build up that hand size, and get yourself closer to a turn 2 Mirage Gate play.
Yeah, pretty devastating to see that the Radiant Greninja is not there on the opening deck search. Going to have to go for multiple Comfeys, and that sets off a lot of sirens on the other side. Bastian's going, you don't like Radiant Greninja against me? Okay, that's cool.
A second VIP pass in this opening hand. That is really strong. Going to get the full setup. Unfortunately, though, I think there's 2 Pokemon prize that Hermanni would love to grab with this.
I don't even know, if you want to take all the Pokemon here. Of course, you have that Hisuian Heavy Ball that could help out in finding some additional Pokemon, but it looks like it is going to be one of those approaches where you have to work the Cramorant into the mix early on. Get that damage that you were talking about in game 1. There are lines where just attacking into a Chenpao can be pretty good.
Yeah, you can 2-hit KO a Chenpao, right? With just 2 Cramorant attacks, spit innocently twice, and that is lining up for an easy 2 prizes, and then you can close the game out with the 4 prize turn on a Kyogre, which we saw Hermanni be so close to in the last game.
Well, I think we want Cole's Experiment.
Yeah, that seems pretty smart.
It's not going to be a card you can use this turn, but obviously you're thinking about later on. And that is another card that you probably want to hold on to. It's the namesake of the deck.
Yeah, you need to keep that Kyogre around. Losing an energy never feels great, but the reason you need the energy is for the Kyogre. So let's keep the Kyogre and hopefully not Lost Zone too many more of those energy cards. Bastian opening up now with a Shivery Chill, searching the deck for 2 basic water energy, adding it to the hand. You get a look at the hand here for Bastian. What are we working with? Any good supporters to play or Battle VIP pass of his own?
Well, I played Min Rarity, so I had a hard time looking through this hand, but I don't believe I saw the Irida in the hand. So it might just be a different supporter that we'll be looking at for the turn. That's when this deck starts to not look nearly as strong. When you don't have that opening Irida, using that to find what could be the Radiant Greninja in combination with the Battle VIP pass, then you start to draw all sorts of cards. Well, we'll see. It looks like there is at least the Nest Ball, so maybe we could see a bailout button in that Radiant Greninja.
I think I got to tell you something, Kyle.
Oh, please, don't tell me it's there.
There are 2 Irida in this hand.
I can't tell. There's so much shiny stuff going on there.
Literally 2 Irida in Bastian's hand.
What art is it? I don't.
It is an alternate full art.
Okay,
so
there we go.
Yeah, we'll give you a break there, I guess.
I've been outmatched. My wallet could not keep up.
Going with that Nest Ball and now shuffling as well. That signals to me that Bastian wants to use concealed cards before going for Irida. What do you think of this sequence?
Yeah, this is pretty strong. The cards that you could find with the Irida, you could just draw off the top, and then you can use that Irida to eventually find a different set of cards.
Okay, we were both wrong. It's just one Irida.
Good.
We'll split the difference there, okay?
I'm always okay with being wrong here. It's part of the game when you can't see.
And now eyeing up 3 water Pokemon because one of them will be grabbed from the Irida and the other 2 will be grabbed from Battle VIP Pass. Manaphy coming into play right away. You mentioned that in game number 1, how you want to be mindful of when Manaphy comes down. Bastian may be overcorrecting here a little bit, recognizing, ooh, I didn't have Manaphy in game number 1. Let me make sure that I get it down now for game 2.
Right, you're going to have to target this Pokemon if you want to win the game because now we're going to see Frigibax come down, and it is going to be protected. So it's going to have to be a lot of energies or a lot of cards into the Lost Zone for that Sableye to remove this Manaphy and eventually target down these bad boys.
Now, Bastian could be also getting the Manaphy just to protect against a Radiant Greninja potentially, but Hermanni doesn't have one on the bench. And with only 2 cards in the Lost Zone and no access to, I mean, with Hermanni having 4 Pokemon on the bench, you can't bench a V Pokemon used for a Sealstone and also bench the Radiant Greninja. So there's not really a super likely path for Hermanni to have pulled off a concealed cards this, or excuse me, Moonlight Shuriken this coming turn, I should say.
Yeah, I think that certainly is something to consider when you don't see the Radiant Greninja pulled there from double Battle VIP Pass,
right?
And your opponent didn't have it in hand. Of course, they probably would have played it to draw more cards. Maybe you hold on to that Manaphy. Of course, you found it with the Irida. You could hold it in hand, play down 2 Frigibacks, and then you have a card like that Luminion V that you could work into the mix if you need a supporter next turn.
Hermanni seeing 5 cards off the Colress. There are 2 Nest Ball and 3 Energy cards. So let's send a Nest Ball and a Lightning to the Lost Zone. Up to 4 now with the Flower selecting. Puts it to 5. Adding a Mirage Gate to the hand. We're just 2 cards in the Lost Zone away from being able to pull off the turn 2 Mirage Gate. But is there nothing else in this hand for Hermanni?
Well, there's a lot, but it's not good. It's just going to be spit innocently there with what was 5 cards in the Lost Zone and reveals the top decked Irida.
Okay.
Is that a flex?
Maybe a bit, honestly. Shivery Chill is going to be the start for Bastian. Now adding 2 Water G to the hand once again. Maybe going to flex his own concealed cards. Oh, you wish you could do this, Hermanni. But here we go. Concealed cards adding more to the hand. Looking, of course, for Rare Candy and Baxcalibur. And if there's an Irida in the hand, it's already lined up.
I mean, there was a world where you could find Irida that finds Ultra Ball, that finds Starbirth, and then you find all sorts of different combinations too. So it looks like this is going to be the slower approach there, and rightfully so. Your opponent just attacked with a Cramorant instead of getting anywhere close to using that Sableye.
2 Water Energies added to the hand. Concealed cards is used. 2 cards now drawn. Ultra Ball is one of them, and I think Iono. Now that is something to consider as well. Your opponent didn't do too much except play a Colress. They didn't play a bunch of switching cards. Is it reasonable to assume that their hand is clogged up and you don't want to Iono them? Or is it reasonable to assume that some of the cards that are clogging their hand would be supporters like Colress Experiment?
No, I immediately would assume that it is at least second Colress hanging out in the hand there. And I'm not going to do my opponent any favors until they go no supporter and attack me. I'll be like, all right, that's the guarantee that I needed to see.
Doesn't quite look like Bastian had the cards maybe to pull off the Baxcalibur play. I guess there is Rare Candy and Ultra Ball, it looks like. So could have gone for the Iono this turn, but choosing to value his own setup a little bit more, keep the Ultra Ball around maybe for that Arceus V-Star, keep the Rare Candy that you have in hand, maybe try to set up another Baxcalibur this turn, potentially. Could we see a double Baxcalibur turn? Is that something that's possible here?
You could. I don't know if you need to. At this stage, I like seeing the Baxcalibur down and then Ultra Ball. Go ahead and place that Arceus V-Star into play and then hold on to that for a following turn where maybe you can set up, who knows, canceling Cologne things if you're able to find the right prize card here.
Yeah, got to pull that off the prizes first, but if you can pull it off, and it is in the bottom of the prize cards, let's remember as well, you can try to line up some sort of Boss's Orders plays to use that Radiant Greninja to take multiple prizes. Super Cold accelerating, almost accelerating an energy to the active.
Right. Yeah, we'll see the Ultra Ball played first, and before making that decision, just want to have those resources in hand so that you potentially could use those instead as the fodder, and we will see that.
Discarding another energy card. Probably the Arceus V-Star. Just set it up now. Oh, it is another Backscalibur.
Hey.
Is there another rare candy in the hand?
We're in Chips Club now.
Turn 2 double Backscalibur. Not something you see too often. Getting one in play is usually strong enough, but hey, double rare candy, double backs.
Oh, there's
Here
another
we go.
Ultra Ball. Okay.
So get the Arceus.
Wow. That is definitely the hand you're looking for right there. Unreal to see a setup like this that can just guarantee that you're going to have some really strong play on the following turn.
Would have to get rid of 2 Iono, though, and you have to wonder how worth it that is. There actually is only 2 Iono in this list, so does Bastian want to lose his only hand disruption option? Probably not.
Right, and you can see the consideration there. It's, well, I like the hit points on my Arceus. If I got the Arceus V-Star, it's guaranteed to stick around, but my opponent's not going to be doing anything to my hand. I'm not concerned about that at this stage in the game, and I'm probably going to be just fine. So I'll just wait a turn, and then I'll be able to evolve, get that Starburst rolling on the following turn.
Now let's see, is the Canceling Cologne going to be the prize card drawn here from Bastian? It looks like we're having a bit of a discussion at the table with the judges, potentially. Not 100% sure what is going on. We'll get word as soon as we can. Could just be something minor, but yeah, judges and players communicating back and forth here at this point, it looks like, about something that's happened in this game.
I mean, to be fair, I'd probably question it. We see that turn was cracked, man. You got double Backscalibur without Starburst. How'd you do it? Tell me the truth.
Yeah, making sure everything's all kosher here, but yeah, I think that might just be some clarification, maybe with a shuffle or something like that. Could be the situation. I'm not sure.
No, you definitely start to worry about the time at this point.
Yeah,
of course,
sure.
When the judge is involved, you could see that time extension. We'll see if that ever comes into play here before we get our eventual resolution, but not a lot of time left, and prizes need to start flying, especially when Hermanni is probably going to be displaying a bunch of single prize Pokemon from this stage if you don't feel like you're going to be able to complete this game. But, I mean, pressure's on Hermanni. You got to get the job done here if you want to at least work in the tie.
Yeah, and you can see Hermanni's just ready to go. He wants to draw cards, get his turn started, and get things rolling. We'll get an update on exactly what happened here in this and what the ruling was, and we also need to make sure that Bastian remembers, yeah, did draw the prize card. Looks like it was the Irida, not the Canceling Cologne, so won't have those plays lined up next turn, but possibly in the future. Colossus Experiment now for Hermanni. Great way to get things started on this turn. Top 5 cards, get the keep 3, Lost Zone 2. Sableye being considered to drop to the Lost Zone. And what is that other card? A Mirage Gate.
I mean, I saw the Hisuian Heavy Ball there in the mix.
I think he wants Radiant Greninja.
Yeah, I mean, well, the other 2 cards must have been pretty good, too, if you're losing Mirage Gate.
So we've gotten an update. Looks like it was a pace of play warning issued to Bastian and then a 4-minute time extension to both of these players. Yeah, Bastian did take a pretty long turn there, but there was a lot to map out for sure. We can see kind of the wheels turning, what you're trying to plan moving forward in this game, but our judges being on top of things, wanting to make sure that the game is moving along and that both players are having a pretty close to equal amount of time to finish this game.
Love to see that here. It means that Hermanni's going to have an opportunity ahead of themselves to get the job done if the cards fall into play. We see 7 in the Lost Zone now.
Yep.
That is before any come phase, any lost vacuums that we could see as well. So could be a turn where you see that Sableye worked into the mix.
Radiant Greninja has now joined the party. Concealed cards being utilized immediately. Hermanni playing as fast as he can, spinning these comfeys all the way around, trying to do everything in his power to make something happen here and try to get a win in game number 2. You have to wonder in this spot, is Hermanni okay taking a tie? Do you want to take a tie in this game, or do you want to kind of have that early tournament mentality of ties are not okay at the World Championships day 1?
Yeah, I think no player was thinking about tying until they got to X and O at this stage, and then it's like, oh, yeah, I could just shake my opponent's hand a few times and get enough wins to, or a win with 3 ties to close it out. And this is a pretty strong turn. We see tons of switching effects. That means all 3 Comfeys will be used, and that is going to be card number 10 of the Lost Zone. with the Mirage Gate. Yes, please.
Yeah, I'll add that to the hand. Switch card into Sableye. Looks like a Psychic Energy already in hand. Lost Mine. Able to spread these damage counters. You have to wonder, does Hermanni want to take out this Chien-Pao? Do you want to try to set up some stuff on the bench? Do you want to get rid of Manaphy now? Force Bastian to find it back. And it looks like Manaphy is public enemy #1 in this spot.
Yeah, we've got a problem with Manaphy. That's a pretty good Pokemon there, so got to remove that from play. And then, of course, the consideration there with the 30 damage onto the Arceus could be a hint towards that Dragonite. Usually it's about that Coyote.
Shivery Trill grabs 2 water energies once again. You can just see why this deck is so powerful. You know, a brand new archetype coming out of Paldea Evolved, both Chien-Pao EX and Baxcalibur being from this new set. Adding these energies to the hand, and it just synergizes so well with other cards that already exist in the format, like the Radiant Greninja especially. Superior Energy Retrieval getting a reprint as well is super strong. And now this Ultra Ball does find the Arceus V-Star. Starbirth is online. Bastian has his whole deck available to him. What plays could he want to set up? Or is this more a wait for later, get the Arceus now?
Yeah, it really just depends on what you have available at this spot. 2 energies means that you can at least take the knockout on this Sableye, which is public enemy #1. But afterwards, is it just going to be Iona Prey? And it looks like that's going to be the case. Just try to attack the hand of Hermanni, which is something I don't think we saw in Game 1.
No, yeah, we didn't see a single Iono. And this is a pretty good turn to do it. I mean, you get to a point as the Kyogre player where you've gotten through the deck so efficiently that Iono doesn't hurt you as bad, especially if you're going to get 4 cards from it, right? And that's something that Hermanni is definitely going to be mindful of. You don't want to take too many prize cards, because Iono hurts you a lot worse the more prize cards you take. Because you know you can close out the game by taking 4 prizes, you just wait a little bit longer.
Well, we've seen a lot of Colress experiments. I
Yes.
think we saw 4 switching effects used last turn in order to get to this Sableye, so
It was a lot.
there's no guarantee that off of these Comphase you're going to find what you're looking for to even take a knockout on this turn.
It is 5 cards now added to the hand for Hermanni.
Ooh, this
Draw
is
for turn
not
as well.
good unless we see a V Pokemon or the Colress experiment.
What a rip off that Flower
Woo.
Selecting. Colress Experiment, the perfect grab. Now 5 cards from the top. There's another couple of switch cards.
Why does this keep happening? 3
One
energies,
card.
2 switching effects.
I think Hermanni has used Colress Experiment to see 3 energy at least 3 times this
Yeah.
set.
Well, losing too many of these energies means that you cannot use
Yeah.
Kyogre at all.
You do have to keep count now. And there are 3 in the Lost Zone already. It looks like 2 water and a lightning.
If you need 8 to win.
You need 8 to win, because you need 3 on the Kyogre and you need 5 in the discard, or in the deck, right? In the discard pile, put them
now
back.
it's going to be 4 because there goes lightning.
Yeah. There's a total of 11 energy cards in this list, so looks like Kyogre is going to be off the table this game.
Yep.
At least a 5 energy Kyogre.
Right.
You could pull off the 4 energy Kyogre still.
There would have to be some softening there on the Arceus V-Star or maybe the Echoing Horn to
Sure.
get a different Pokemon out there.
Escape Rope forcing up this Radiant Greninja.
There's an
Hermanni
easy
has an
choice.
easy choice getting rid of this Battle VIP Pass. Adds 1 more Escape Rope, it looks like, to the hand. And in this spot, you got to just try to find a way to chain some attacks together. What would be the ideal attacker here in this spot?
Well, if you have the resources, you could use the Radiant Greninja, but I don't see it. It's going to be pass.
Wow. Yeah, the deck is just kind of failing Hermanni at this point. Things were flowing in game #1, was just 1 piece short of pulling off the Ogre. The Bastion's deck has been honestly firing on all cylinders both of these games. Really impressed with the consistency and just the straightforwardness, but also power level that he's constructed his deck with in this one.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, well, we see Radiant Greninja in the active.
Okay.
And Starbirth being used.
Is it time?
I mean, Canceling Clone was a prize card taken, correct?
That is right. Cologne was added to the hand now. Is there a boss in the deck is actually a question, and I don't know that I see one. Is there one in hand?
No,
There
there's
is one in hand.
That-
Okay.
Every time that I ask, it's in hand. That seems to be the case.
Has it in hand, has the boss, has the Canceling Cologne, could bring up this Manaphy, then use the Canceling Cologne, add these energies to this Radiant Greninja, and we could see Moonlight Shuriken taking 2 prizes, sending Bastion to just 2 prize cards remaining.
that. Just going to get all those energies right back into play there. Doesn't matter which Baxcalibur you're using, they are going to be coming down there. And this is a dangerous turn now.
Yep.
With just a minute and a half remaining, basically. And you need to take these prize cards.
Yeah, and I think Hermanni knows exactly what's happening here. You even see him tapping the Manaphy. Yep, sure enough, canceling Cologne. Deactivating that powerful Wave Veil ability. Its protection no longer in play. And now Bastian can take out 2 Pokemon, probably 2 Comfeys. You could maybe knock out the Manaphy, actually, I guess, and force your opponent to get it back. Otherwise, you could Greninja again, but for now, it will just be targeting the draw power of the Comfeys.
Yeah, I don't mind knocking out the Manaphy because you have basically went on board if this Radiant Greninja is not going to be knocked out at this stage. And how do you knock out this Pokemon? 130 hit points is pretty tough to work through.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, thinking that Hermanni's down a bunch of switching cards, right? So it might be a little annoying to get this Manaphy out of the active spot. That could be one of the things being thought through here. But regardless, Hermanni does have a way to get this Manaphy out. Looks like it was an escape rope, and now Super Rod will put some energy cards back into the deck. If there's a Mirage Gate, we could see the Moonlight Shuriken get Hermanni kind of back in this game a little bit, but Bastion's board position is just so much farther ahead.
Right. You're trying to figure out how the prize cards even are taken at a stage like this. 20 seconds left, 5 prize cards remaining. Of course, the Chimpao is probably going to be an easy knockout, but where do you get the rest of your prizes?
Yeah, it's not going to be Kyogre most likely. Could be a double Greninja angle. Now, Hermanni wants to close this game out, or this turn out, and be turn 1 of time, not be turn 0. If he's turn 0, he only gets 1 turn after this, and his time has now expired from the clock. We should be getting word very shortly that Hermanni is indeed turn 0, meaning we'll have entered +3 turns, and I don't think with this turn plus 1 more, Hermanni has the pieces to take 5 prize cards.
Yeah, we'll see the boss's orders to try to slow down things on the other side from Bastian. You can take the knockout there and put the damage onto the Arceus V-Star. This does line up maybe a world where Kyogre happens, but the cards have to fall perfectly.
And I think we are getting confirmation now. Hermanni is turn 0, only going to have 1 more turn this game. Draw for turn from Bastian. Being turn 1, has turn 1 and turn 3, and with 2 prizes left, your path to win is pretty straightforward. Take 1 knockout, take 1 more knockout. And this is where Baxcalibur actually becomes a pretty solid attacker. It's got 160 hit points. It's kind of annoying for Lost Box to KO. And Buster Kale deals 130 damage. That's all you need to knock out something like Radiant Greninja.
Let's also keep in mind, you don't have to win.
Sure. You just have to not lose.
You can, if playing defensively is the best strategy, you could always do that too. But it looks like it kind of works out both ways here. Taking the prize card, removing this Radiant Greninja from play could be helpful. It might be able to slow down some draws that may happen off of the eventual likely Iono here. But we'll see, because what exactly does Hermanni have in hand, and is it worth even disrupting at this stage?
I mean, Bastian might just want to see more cards of his own at this point, to be honest. Even though you're only getting 2, they're a different 2 than what you currently have.
Got to be better than playing a Pokestop for my opponent who's trying to Kyogre me next turn.
Yeah, I just don't think the Kyogre play is on the table at this point. I mean, you only have 1 Pokemon you can target down.
Chip, literally nothing else will win the game from this state, so it would have to be that.
I know, but like... It just seems so unlikely. I don't think our...
we have to update the graphic there.
Yeah. I think Hermanni does only have 3 prize cards remaining, not the 5 that it says.
That would be very impressive.
Yes. So, Colress's experiment. You need to get to 0 cards, or pretty low at least, to give yourself a pretty high odds. There's a couple good pieces here. Looks like an Echoing Horn. Going to get rid of that, though, and keep the Mirage Gate and the Kyogre and the Nest Ball. I don't think Forest Sealstone has been used this game, so we could see a Pokemon V grabbed out just to utilize the Forest Sealstone, potentially to get whatever other combo pieces necessary.
I can't remember if this is the game with the Dragonite in the prizes.
It is prized.
And there's no...
there's the Raikou.
He's in the Lost Zone. So.
Oh, just kidding.
And there's no Drapion there.
Did Hermanni maybe take the... the Hisuian Heavy Ball, though. So Hisuian Heavy Ball's hanging around somewhere. But doesn't look like he has access to it. And we did see that Forest Sealstone hit the Lost Zone. He's kind of close to doing something, but I think there's just too many cards left in the deck.
We'll see if maybe Radiant Greninja is a Pokemon that could be found there with the Nest Ball, and then draw into the Miracle cards to get the job done.
And I believe Radiant Greninja was just put back from that Super Out along with a couple energy cards. Mirage Gate can now add a couple of those energies that were put back into play. Yeah, there are so many cards in this deck.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
You need to Pokestop and then Greninja. It's actually kind of close, to be honest. Hermanni, it's pretty close here, actually, Kyle. Hermanni might have the pieces to do it. Is there a Pokestop is the question I think we need to figure out.
I see a lot of vacuums. I see the Hisuian Heavy Ball. I see a Forest Seal Stone, so maybe when you draw 2 cards with the Radiant Greninja, you draw into the
Heavy Ball
and the Seal Stone.
And then you can get
another card out. But I don't think there's a Pokestop.
Yeah, I think
we see 2 in the Lost Zone.
And there's only 2 in the list.
That's math.
It does check out. Concealed cards will draw 2. There's a Seal Stone.
Oh,
I don't think it was the Heavy Ball. We do still have one more look with the Comfey. Can get one more flower selecting, one more chance to find the Heavy Ball. There's the Heavy Ball, but the Mirage Gate is maybe the only other card he couldn't have drawn here. I actually think he was so close to pulling this off.
Yeah.
It depends on how many switch cards are. If there is a switching card available, I think he could have done it, as long as that switch card was not Escape Rope. Because if it's Escape Rope, Bastian can just push the Arceus V-Star.
Right. And you can see counting out now what switching effects are even left at this stage.
Thinking through, can you lose the Mirage Gate? I think as long as there's a switching card, it should be okay, but it needs to be switch card specifically. Cannot be Escape Rope. There's only 2 cards left in the deck right now for Hermanni.
I don't know how this works without the Hisuian Heavy Ball.
Yeah, you need the Heavy Ball for sure.
So it shouldn't be a thought. I get that it's tricky, but it looks like it's gonna be thrown away. Okay, yeah,
no,
you have to keep it. You will use this Dragonite V. You have the opportunity to look at these last 2 cards, and you're really hoping that one of them is a switch card.
Got to be switch cards.
I mean, you should know now. You've just seen your prize cards,
right.
and it is there.
Switch card in the prizes.
In the prizes.
Yep, so it's going to be just short here. Let's see what these 2 cards are in the deck. Is there anything that gets Hermanni the win here? Tying up this set. So agonizingly close. 2 games in a row to pulling off the Kyogre. Hermanni cannot do it, extends the hand, and Bastian SIlva moves to 5-0 in day 1 of the World Championships.
Wow. Yeah, that was an incredible set there between these 2 amazing players. Bastian going to be getting the job done there with Chin Pao.
Yeah, very cool. Love to see it. Chin Pao is such a fun deck to watch in action, and it's really popular here in day 1 of the World Championships. It didn't make the graph, right? It wasn't in the top 5, but it was number 6. You know, it's hanging out. It's right there. 8% meta share here in day number 1. Plenty of players choosing to bring it, and Bastian showing exactly why this deck is so good and worthy of respect.
Yep, and on the other side, Hermanni was playing a pretty fantastic game. Things did not go their way, as we saw. It was pretty difficult to just get the pieces together, and I mean, understandably so. You're playing in a format that has Iono, you're going to run into situations like that. Could not get all the pieces in there to at least make this a tie. But, you know, you've got a few more opportunities now. 2 more match victories, and we will see Hermanni playing in day 2.